Hello friends, welcome to Louisville, Kentucky. I'm here in front of the Eastern Cemetery. There's a lot of history in this cemetery. It's a historical marker out front here. Talks about its origin. Here on the property is the crematorium. Just to get a better look at the crematorium, I've stepped outside the gate for a moment. See the original house. Airbnb parking. I've been doing some research online about the Eastern Cemetery. It's the oldest cemetery in Louisville. It was a Methodist-run cemetery, and what was unique about this place is that it was one of the first cemeteries anywhere that were burying all sorts of people. Black, white, Jewish, Gentile, doesn't matter. You could be buried here. So some of the old mayors are buried here. Some very famous people were buried in the cemetery. The sign out front states that there are 30,000 spaces available in this cemetery. What I read online said 16,000, but we'll go with 30. Back in 1989, a gravedigger on this property blew the whistle and exposed that they were burying more than just one person in each of these graves out here. They were selling these plots as empty plots to families, unknowingly burying their loved ones right on top of other loved ones. A lot of them. Apparently, there were more than 100,000. The sign says 100,000, but what I read online was like 130,000 people were buried in this cemetery where there was only spaces for 16,000. So the numbers are a little off here, but the point is that they were doing some bad stuff. They were burying these poor souls right on top of each other. There were several bodies within each grave. It's crazy, but they got in a lot of trouble and it became abandoned because of that back in 1989. So I'm here today to pay my respects to all these people that, well, we don't even know who all is buried out here, but here we are. They say the place is super haunted too. There's an organization called the Friends of the Eastern Cemetery that do their best to take care of this place, but you can see it's very overgrown. See, the mausoleum here has been vandalized. Ashes have been stolen. Looks like it used to be a pretty nice cemetery at one point. Most of the graves are completely covered with stuff, weeds. This is from 1893. Wow. These stones are from the early 1800s. They look really new. I wonder if somebody's been out here to clean these. Another one from the 1800s that looks pretty nice. Here's some of the earliest graves in the cemetery. These are from 1856, looks like 1855. These, you just can't read them anymore. It's a large cemetery, very large. This mausoleum looks a lot like something from Lord of the Rings to me. It's too bad that a mausoleum this nice is sitting empty, vandalized, left alone. It's too bad that this whole place has been vandalized and pretty much left alone. Good job on you, all those people that do take care of this property as much as they can. I can tell where they come through with a lawnmower and try to make some pathways, but this is a lot of ground to take care of for a lot of volunteers. So, wow. On the back side of the cemetery, you can see the wall that surrounds the property. And on the other side of that wall is another very famous cemetery, the Cave Hill Cemetery. We'll be visiting that later this afternoon. There are some people of note that are buried at the Cave Hill Cemetery, so we'll go and pay our respects to them in just a little bit. But that is not to take away from paying our respects to all these important people that are here in this cemetery. All of them. Every single person in here contributed something to this planet, good or bad, hopefully all good. Even Leonard Owen is here, died in 1975. I don't know what he did, but rest in peace, Leonard. Hopefully you did something good with your life. I've seen a lot of these patches of overgrown grass with no grave marker in sight. And I'm just assuming that with 100 to 130,000 people buried in this property, that there couldn't be that much space left over. I'm assuming that there are bodies underneath most every place that we're walking. They really want to keep you out of the Cave Hill Cemetery. I have another fallen tree. We have a random log, somebody's clothes. Oh, building's just falling apart. Somebody's living here. Well, at least they're using the trash can until it was full. There's a lot of latter dates in the 80s, late 70s in the back part of the cemetery. A couple of World War II veterans. I was looking over the fence here at the other cemetery, the Cave Hill Cemetery, and noticing how clean and well manicured everything is. And I looked down here and saw a couple more graves down in the ravine. Some vent mechanism for this mausoleum. I really enjoy seeing these grave sites, especially clear in the back of the property behind this mausoleum or crematory, whatever it was, that people take care of. They still are thinking about their loved ones and coming out here to pay their respects, putting things on their graves, maybe cleaning up a little bit for their loved ones. I like seeing that. I didn't expect to see anyone out here, but looks like somebody's here to do some weed whacking around their family's grave. That's a nice weeping willow, isn't it? What do you call it? Weed whacking? Weed eating? What do you call it yourselves out there? I always said weed whacking. It's a weed whacker. I think weed eater was a brand name, kind of like Kleenex is to tissues or Frisbee is to discs. Weed eater was to the weed whacker game. Correct me if I'm wrong. Here's an interesting one. I like the quote. "And may there be no moaning at the bar when I put out to sea." Old Albert Fields, 1913 to still alive. Albert, if you're out there and you happen to be able to watch this and you have actually stayed alive and made it to 110 years old, well, nice work. I'd like to know what you've done to stay kicking that long. And I'm with you. I hope there's no moaning at that bar when I put out to sea. Speaking of the sea, I like this anchor on this gravestone. I like a lot of these gravestones. I like the older ones with these nice decorative ornaments carved on them. I also like the names. Charlotta, Carl, and Lula. If you happen to be welcoming in a new one into your family, having a baby, a good idea would be to walk around a cemetery and check out some of the names on these gravestones. A lot of them are dated. You're trying to find something a little new, fresh. Well, revive one of the old names. Maybe you see one that you're inspired by, like Charlotta. That's a beautiful name. I've never met a Charlotta that I know of. There's a lot of names that I come across in these cemeteries. I'm like, wow, never heard that. I saw one back here, Casper. Cool name. Right after I said that, I looked over and I saw another Casper. Must have been a popular name back in the 1800s. An example of one of these grassy areas is that whole section over there. You can see 1, 2, 3 small gravestones, but I'm sure that whole area is filled with the non-living. With all of these grave sites, and especially with them being overpopulated, there's of course a lot of stories about this place being haunted. They say that things can be seen around here, and I don't really know the specific stories or who they say haunts the place, but to me it just seems like a nice, peaceful, overgrown place to pay your respects to those that have gone before us. I don't sense anything spooky here at all. Of course, it is the middle of the day, and they say the witching hour is like late night, 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning or something. To me, I don't know if ghosts really have a timeline, but this is a peaceful place. If you're in this part of Kentucky and Louisville, well, drop in here yourself. Pay your respects to Cecil and Charlotta and all the rest of the good people that are laid to rest here. You can say hello here to Ollie M. Mabel and the rest of his family while you're at it. No idea who Ollie Abel was. Never heard of the guy till just now. But I sure hope that when I land in a place like this, that some random person comes by and wonders the same thing about me. Old Drayton Callison. Wonder what he did. Little did they know all the cool things. Like I've just assumed that all these people with their whole entire lives full of things they've done had to do some really cool stuff. I'd like to know the stories on every single one of these people. It's fascinating. Makes you feel connected, like you're serving a purpose too. Before we leave, I wanted to point something out about the crematory here. That whether it was in this building, I'm not quite sure. Online it says the apartment building across the street was the location of the original crematorium. But if it was here, nonetheless, it was the very first crematorium in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And it was the only crematorium in the entire area. So it was a very busy place. I bet these people back here in the apartments have no idea that they are living atop of a place like that where so many bodies were processed. So after seeing this sign and the Airbnb sign and the trash cans, I've deducted that these are apartments and most likely an Airbnb situation. That could be a cool adventure for you. I'd like to stay in an Airbnb that was once a crematorium. Friends, if you were in Louisville, definitely make your way here to the Eastern Cemetery. Pay your respects to these fine people that have gone before us. I appreciate your company. We're gonna head off to the Cave Hill National Cemetery to visit some well-known people that have done some very great things in their lifetime. I hope you join me for that video. I appreciate your company today, friends. I'll see you in the next video.